Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 11 tonight, it wasn't meant to be. The Bills lose their 4th straight Super Bowl. Let's go live to our team in Atlanta.
I'm Kathleen Layton, standing live outside the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, and we have got reaction from Bills fans to tonight's disappointing loss.
We'll have complete post-game coverage for you from Atlanta and from here at home as well. Eyewitness News at 11 is up next.
I'm George Michael. Be sure to catch all the highlights on the Sports Machine at 11:35. Now stay tuned. 11 at 11. Next on News Channel 7, your hometown team.
This broadcast of Eyewitness News is closed caption for the hearing impaired, a service of News Channel 7 and your good neighbor Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Some long faces on the Buffalo Bills as they go down in defeat to the Cowboys tonight in Super Bowl XXVIII. Good evening, I'm Keith Radford. Topping this edition of Eyewitness News at 11 tonight, Buffalo is dealing with it now, America. Dealing with a 4th straight Super Bowl loss, a 30-13 defeat to Dallas tonight in Atlanta. Bob McEwen, first off, joins us now here in the studio. A quick look at some of the plays that did the Bills in tonight. Bob?
Yeah, thank you, Keith. What can you say about today's Super Bowl? The Bills played a great first half, controlled the tempo and the momentum, but the Cowboys took advantage of some crucial Bills turnovers in the second half and came out on top once again. Now, as I said, the Bills did the job in the first half. Thurman Thomas with the ball here. He scored this touchdown in the first half, to give the Bills a 10-6 lead. The Bills led 13-6 in the locker room. But in the second half, the roof caved in for Buffalo. On their first possession, Thurman Thomas fumbles the ball. James Washington picks it up and rambles 46 yards for the touchdown. And this TD tied the score at 13 apiece. Now, still in the third, the game's MVP, Emmitt Smith, scored this touchdown from 16 yards away, and that gave the Cowboys a 20-13 lead. In the fourth quarter, the Bills tried to get back in this ball game. Jim Kelly's pass gets picked off by James Washington. Washington was there again. That led to another Dallas touchdown. The Cowboys went on to win this game 30-13. They repeat as Super Bowl champions. 3 turnovers led to 17 points, Keith, and obviously that was what did the Bills in today.
All right, thanks, Bob. We'll hear more from you in a few minutes. We've had several crews in Atlanta all week long. Steve Boyd, Kathleen Layton are now live just outside of the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Kathleen, Steve, what's happening?
A very subdued crowd of Buffalo Bills fans filed out of the Georgia Dome, most of them before the game had ended.
Yeah, and a very happy crowd of Cowboy fans. This is a very disappointing loss, obviously our 4th in a row. It's interesting, though, that what these Dallas people had to say about the Bills and their fans, they were very complimentary, very quality people as far as fans. They were very good winners in this.
I thought so, too, and the people that I spoke with from Dallas congratulated me, said the Bills did a great job this season, said we look forward to seeing you in Miami. They were very, very nice about the whole thing, if they could be called nice.
Now, this really hurts. We did talk to some Bills fans in the stadium, and they were remarkably optimistic tonight.
I was here for my team, and I don't care what anybody thinks about the Bills. I think they're a great bunch of guys. I think they played a great first half. I think I saw their problems the second half, but hey, we want them to come home so we can tell them how much we appreciate it.
And we're still talking proud in Buffalo. Hang in there, guys. It's all right.
Next year.
Maybe next year. We made it to 4 Super Bowls.
It's going to be a long plane ride back to Buffalo, guys. But we tried. We played a good first half. 1 bad fumble, and the game was over.
So no anger, no bitterness, just sad resignation, and that makes it even more sad.
I think it's really tough here because in the first half, certainly it seemed that we had it in our grasp, and then it just slipped away started with that fumble with Thurman Thomas in the third quarter. So it's going to be another time to get over our 4th Super Bowl. It's a tough one.
But we have to know that when they record this in the history books, we will get the respect that the Buffalo Bills deserve for being in the Super Bowl 4 years in a row.
We've also heard from the Buffalo Bills players that the Bills are already talking about strive for 5. They've done much better in Joe Robbie Stadium, and that's where the Super Bowl is next year. Hey, you never know.
Hey, you never know. Well, we'll talk about that one maybe tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Kathleen, Steve, thanks for bringing us up to date. Certainly disappointment in Atlanta tonight, but a lot of disappointment here in Buffalo and all over Western New York. Paul Hawley has been out covering this story. He is live over at Network, Jim Kelly's bar in downtown Buffalo. It was jammed, and they were going crazy earlier tonight. Paul, you look a little lonely.
Well, that's exactly the truth, because, Keith, right here, the party is over. And just a little while ago, this joint was jumping. But as you can see, well, right now you can see the difference. Buffalo fans were expecting some big things earlier today from the team here at Network, and Bills fans were really enthused that the team came out big and jumped off to the quick lead. But when the worm turned and suddenly the team's fortunes in Atlanta and the fan spirits here in Buffalo, they both hit rock bottom. Now, I spoke with a few of the fans here this evening. You can see there they were happy and proud earlier in the afternoon, but once the Bills turned over the ball and the Dallas team took over the lead, things here changed, and here's what the fans had to say.
4 years in a row, come on, they got a problem. They got a problem. They could do better than that. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I lived in Buffalo all my years. They stink. They stink.
Strive for 5 and 95. That's all we can say. Yeah, baby. We still got it.
Yeah, we thought we had it. We looking good in the first 2 quarters, though. I thought we had it, though.
I still love him, and I don't believe this happened. I couldn't handle Thurman's face. I really couldn't. That was really the killer for me.
So as you can see, many of the fans are handling it in different ways. Kind of a few of the remnants from the party here earlier. A few noisemakers, no good now. We're back sign. Well, all these things have gone by the wayside. But Keith, fans here talked about striving for 5, and so we'll see. It's going to be tough to make it back for another year. But for now, the party's over. Back to you, Keith.
All right, good. Thanks, Paul. John Murphy, our sports director, has been down in Atlanta all week long covering the team as they got ready for this big game. He joins us now live from the end zone down at the Georgia Dome. John?
Yeah, it's a place where the Bills only made it to once tonight, as a matter of fact, Keith. You know, for that gentleman concerned about Thurman and how down Thurman would be, he was in there answering questions, answering all questions put to him. As a matter of fact, a couple of times he laughed a little bit, so Thurman's going to be all right. As are all the Bills, really. They are, as Marv Levy says, a very resilient team. They demonstrated that by getting to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and 4 straight losses, of course. But believe it or not, in the Buffalo locker room, they're already starting to talk about the strive for 5.
You got to hand it to the Cowboys. They played extremely well in the second half. We felt like we made some mistakes in the first half that hurt us, and we came in and tried to fine-tune some things, and came out and really couldn't get anything done in the second half. And you got to hand it to them. They came out and played a different football game in the second half.
Well, I'm sure the fans are upset, but if the fans are upset, I'll sit right down beside them because I'm disappointed.
Obviously, right now, it's just so frustrating because you just try so hard. And, you know, you give it everything, every little ounce you got out there in the field, and you just come out the field, you know, beat. And this is, to me, is the toughest loss I've ever had.
I'll tell you what, one good thing about this ball club is we never gave up. When they were moving the ball and they had it 1st and goal, we kept pushing, we stopped, and they kicked the field goal. We, as an offensive team, we tried to march down the field. We never gave up until the final gun. So we have a lot to be proud of. We've accomplished a lot in this past year. Nobody thought we'd make it back. We did. Unfortunate, we didn't come out with a win, but I'll tell you what, you never count us out.
I'd take this team with anybody. You know, some teams come through at the end of the year, they do win Super Bowls or do things. This team's won so many football games all the way through to get to these Super Bowls. They proved they're great. They're a great, great football team.
Do you ever feel like you're beating the head against a wall?
Never. No, never. You know, situation again, I just couldn't be proud of this bunch. Just want to relax, you know, get a couple of these bruises done. Somebody told me already, we got a new slogan, strive for 5, so let's get at that.
Well, clearly, when you talk to the Buffalo Bills, to a man, they said the Cowboys were the better team this day. Most people felt going into the game that the Cowboys were the superior team, and they demonstrated that by a tremendous second half when they held the Bills off the scoreboard and took charge of this game. We've got more coming up from the Bills locker room from right here in the end zone at the Georgia Dome, coming up in sports, but now back to Keith.
I think, John, the big thing, a lot of the fans maybe find it hard to believe, we were so dominant in the first half, and then the second half came along, and poof, there we went.
Yeah, the dominance, I think the Cowboys played a pretty poor first half, and the Cowboys were driving, you recall. Nate Odoms came up with a tremendous interception at the end of the first half that snuffed out a possible Dallas scoring drive. Bills played well in the first half, though, and they got some big plays, but the Cowboys in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter really turned it around with a couple of big plays, including the biggest one, James Washington scooping up that fumble and running into the end zone, and that was a huge momentum shift in the game. The Cowboys, I think, made a few other adjustments, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, and really got a good pass rush going on Jim Kelly in the second half. And again, I think superior talent won out in the end.
Well, this is the fourth time, John. You've been to all of them. How does this one stack up or compare to the previous three?
You know, I asked that to players in terms of how does it feel in terms of the hurt inside, and a couple of players, Kent Hall in particular, several others said, Clint Parker said this one hurt the most. I think the first one, they were all sort of new at this. The last two Super Bowls, they've been blown out. Of course, this one they had a chance to win, and arguably in this one they had the game in control, at least through the first half of play, and a couple of players said this one hurts the most. Bills played a decent game. I mean, they played a decent first half anyway, but again, I think talent usually wins, and that was the case today.
All right, thanks, John. We'll check back with you in a few minutes coming up a little bit later in sports. Again, John Murphy live down at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta tonight. Disappointed fans in Atlanta, people who traveled down there for the game. Also, a lot of disappointed fans here in Buffalo. Helen Tetteris is over at Tunes on Elmwood and Bidwell in Buffalo. And Helen, a little livelier there than over at Jim Kelly's place tonight.
It certainly is. The Bills may have lost, but things here at Tunes have not settled down. People came to this Elmwood Avenue bar hoping to celebrate a Bills victory, but it just was not meant to be. And other taverns throughout western New York were jam-packed with people and Bills fans. Folks at Pixie's Bar and Lounge were all ready to root their team on to victory. And over at Lee's Bar on Fillmore, there were plenty of smiles. Fans geared up for Super Bowl XXVIII. Spirits were high, Buffalonians were feeling good, but shortly after halftime it became painfully clear the Bills were just not going to win this one. Claudia Catalano is one of the Bills fans who watched the game with us here at Tunes. Claudia, your feelings about the game?
Well, disappointed. I mean, naturally. To get a little taste of it in the first half, looked really great. They played really great, and then things kind of fell apart.
Some feelings about the future. Now, you mentioned that you think that they'll be back next year.
Yeah, we'll go for 5, definitely. I can definitely see us going to the Super Bowl again.
What about a Bills rally? Do you think we should have one?
I guess it's up to the players.
What do you think? Do you think you'd want one? Some people here said that we really should have one because we want to really show the Bills that they did a great job and we're still with them. Would you echo that?
I think we should still have a rally.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Claudia. So there you have it, Bills fans down, but certainly not giving up hope. With the Live Eye in Buffalo, Helen Tetteris, Eyewitness News. Back to you, Keith.
Down but not out. All right. Thanks, Helen. Now, if you would like to share your feelings about the Bills' Super Bowl loss this time around, why don't you let us be your pressure valve this year? Call us on our Let Off Steam hotline. The telephone number is 852-3799. Again, that's 852-3799. Give us a call and let us know what you think. Now, the Buffalo Bills are going to fly home back here to Buffalo tomorrow afternoon. They come in. Now, the team, the NFTA, has asked fans, please don't go out to the airport to greet them because there will be a massive traffic and people problem out there. Also, just to remind you, the Buffalo Bills victory rally that had been tentatively scheduled for Tuesday afternoon at Niagara Square now has been canceled. Again, no official rally at Niagara Square on Tuesday because of the loss. Well, let's go outside, check in with Kevin Stewart and find out what the weather has in store for us. Maybe some good news there, Kev.
Well, Keith, I wish I could be a bearer of good news. Just when you thought it was safe to go back outside, Old Man Winter pays us a visit, and it looks like he's going to be staying around for a while. Clear skies right now in Buffalo, a temperature of 5 degrees, and with those clear skies, we're going to look for the temperature to drop to near 0 tonight and below 0 in the outlying areas. So cold temperatures when you wake up to go back to work tomorrow morning. A few flurries around. We should warm up, though, to the upper teens by afternoon time, maybe make it to 20, and then start our drop back down to the single digits once again. But all in all, it looks like a very nice day with plenty of sun and a few flurries around, but very cold. We'll have more on the weather outside. Keith?
All right, we'll check back with you. Thanks, Kevin. Time now to check on those winning lottery numbers drawn tonight in the New York State Lottery. First off, in the daily game for you, 7-3-3. And the win for winning numbers tonight, 8-9-8-7. And we'll have tonight's winning Pick 10 numbers for you up in just a moment.
Record Theater's huge selection and variety of music are unbeatable. I'm convinced if you can't find it at Record Theater, you won't find it anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. The Buffalo Bills have nothing to be ashamed of. For the 4th straight season, they were the best team in the AFC. Unfortunately, for the 4th straight year, the best the AFC has to offer wasn't good enough. The Bills made the most of their opportunities in the first half of the game, but in the second stanza, just like a year ago, it was turnovers that did the Bills in. The Bills started out this Super Bowl with upset on their minds, no doubt about it. The Bills lost the toss and had to kick to Kevin Williams. And right from the start, the Dallas Cowboys were off and running. Kevin Williams gets the ball here, and watch the nice return. He returns it 50 yards. The Cowboys were in great shape at the 46-yard line. Then on their first play from scrimmage, Troy Aikman hits Michael Irvin with the pass. A 20-yard gain here, and this is good for a first down. 2 plays later, Emmitt Smith goes nowhere on this play. Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett make the stop. The Cowboys have to settle for a 41-yard field goal by Eddie Murray. Murray splits the uprights. It's good. It's 3-0 Dallas. Then the Bills' first possession, Jim Kelly goes to work. And Kelly finds Andre Reed here, 11 yards on this pass play. Reed holds onto the ball, a great game for the Bills. 2 plays later, he hits Thurman Thomas with a screen pass, and Thomas, like he always does, a great gain here, pushes it upfield 24 yards on this play. Now that play helped set up this long field goal attempt from Steve Christie. A 54-yard attempt, and this was good by a mile. That's a Super Bowl record. The score was tied at 3. Now the Bills shut down Dallas and got the ball back, but on their first play from scrimmage, Kelly hits Thurman Thomas with a shuffle pass. Thurman gets a nice gain, but he coughs it up. The Cowboys recover, and they take over at the Bills' 42. Troy Aikman goes to work. He finds Alvin Harper with this pass. This one is good for 24 yards, a huge gain for the Dallas Cowboys. Now that led to another field goal by Eddie Murray. This one is good from 24 yards away. The Cowboys led 6-3. On their next possession, their drive stalled, and Chris Moore had to punt. But Dave Thomas runs into the kicker. That 5-yard penalty gave the Bills a first down, a huge break for the Bills. And Kelly, the offense, goes back to work. Kelly hits Don Beebe with this pass, and that's good for 9 yards. Then Kelly to Reed again. Reed makes the nice catch here. This play is good for 12 yards. The Bills kept driving. And watch this nice run coming up here by Kenny Davis. Davis gets the call, gets the handoff, makes the move to his left, and gains 8 yards on this play. 4 plays later, Thurman Thomas takes it into the end zone from 4 yards out. Nice block here by Glenn Parker. Thomas takes it in. The Bills take a 10-6 lead. Now Dallas shut down the Bills on the next possession. And watch this great play by Steve Tasker. Chris Moore punts it. Tasker is down there to down the ball on the 1-yard line. Another great play by a Pro Bowler. Now Dallas had to go the length of the field on this drive. Troy Aikman hits Darryl Johnston with the pass. He fights and picks up the first down. A great gain for Johnston. Then Aikman back to pass again, but this time he'll get picked off here by Nate Odoms. And watch the return by Nate. Nate goes 40 yards on the return. A huge play by the Bills, and that changed the momentum in the first half. Well, the offense had about a minute to get another score. Kelly hits Thurman Thomas near the sideline here. This is good for 13 yards and a Bills first down. Then Kelly drops back to pass again. This time he looks for Andre Reed again. Reed gained 17 yards in the play. That helped set up this Steve Christie field goal. Steve Christie hits a 28-yarder with 2 seconds left on the clock just before the end of the half. The Bills take a 13-6 lead into the locker room. In the second half, it was a nightmare for the Bills and Thurman Thomas. The Cowboys kicked to the Bills to start the half, but the Bills gave it right back. On the third play from scrimmage, Thurman Thomas fumbles the ball, and watch what happens. James Washington scoops it up and then makes a great return. He goes 46 yards for the touchdown, and just like that, the score was tied at 13-13. Well, the Bills got the ball back, but the Dallas defense was charged up. Jim Kelly tried to make something happen, but Kelly gets sacked by Charles Haley. That was a 14-yard loss. Dallas got the ball back, and Emmitt Smith took over the game. Smith ran the ball 7 times on this drive. This carry was good for 8 yards, carrying Jeff Wright on his back. Then Smith again. He was unstoppable. This time he gets 13 yards on this play. And they capped off the drive with, guess who? Emmitt Smith. He breaks arm tackles, takes it in the end zone from 16 yards out. The Cowboys take a 20-13 lead. Emmitt carried the ball 7 of the Cowboys' 8 plays on the drive. On the Bills' next possession, they tried to run a screen. The Dallas defense was too tough. Kenny Davis lost 7 yards on that play. Then Davis tried to make something happen on the ground, but this time it didn't work again. The Dallas D comes up big, and Davis lost 3 yards here. Well, the Bills' drive was stopped. Then in the fourth quarter, another critical turnover. Jim Kelly goes back to pass. but he gets picked off here by guess who? James Washington again. Washington makes another big play on defense. Dallas takes over. Then the Cowboys did it on offense again. Emmitt Smith gets the screen pass, makes the great move right there on Patton, and he gains 10 yards on this play down to the Bills' 24-yard line. Then on third down play, Aikman finds Alvin Harper, 16 yards and a gain here for another Dallas first down. 4 plays later, it was Emmitt again. This time he goes over from a 1 yard out. The Cowboys take a convincing 27-13 lead. Now the Bills are on offense again, but nothing seemed to work down the stretch. Thurman Thomas gets the carry here, but he gets stonewalled by the Dallas defense. No gain. Then Kelly drop back to pass again, and he'll get sacked here by Jimmy Jones. Nothing but frustration for the Bills in the second half. The Cowboys regain control again of the ball. Troy Aikman drops back to pass. He hits Alvin Harper. Harper goes out of bounds at the 1 yard line. A great catch by Harper. Left open there in double coverage. A few plays later, Murray kicked another field goal. The Bills lose Super Bowl 28-30-13 was the final. Jim Kelly, 31 of 50, 227 yards and 1 interception. Thurman Thomas, 16 carries, only 37 yards and 1 touchdown, 2 critical fumbles. Emmitt Smith, 30 carries, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was the game's MVP. Well, there's no doubt about it. Buffalo definitely put up a fight this time, but the Bills lost another Super Bowl. And for more on that, we go now to John Murphy, who is standing by live outside the Georgia Dome. John?
Well, Bob, you and I talked last night about some of the keys to this game, and we talked about turnovers, and you couldn't ignore that fact, especially when the Bills turned it over 9 times last year.
This wasn't the time for a lot of words. We'll get back together, and we'll try it again.
We have a lot to be proud of. We've accomplished a lot in this past year. No, we thought we'd make it back. We did. Unfortunate, we didn't come out with a win, but I'll tell you what, you never count us out. And I guess the old saying, or we got to say now, is what's it going to take to get us there again? And got to take that long, hard road again, but we've been here before.
The Bills are going to be arriving home tomorrow evening, so let's check in with Barry for a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Barry?